Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
Today, we are here taking a little time out from our regular Eastery talk to discuss how does one maintain their active faith life in a time of quarantine and disease and such.
And this takes us back somewhat to the entire origin of VEASTER. The three of us observed that as a church, we normally do lots of stuff for Lent, and then we drop the ball when it comes to the big feast of Easter.
Yeah, we get through that octave, and then suddenly, it's back to normal. And then there's Pentecost and back to normal.
Yeah. Well, for a lot of people, I'm not even sure that the octave is a big thing. Like the second Sunday of Easter, all right, second Sunday of Easter, back to normal life. Wait, why is Father still wearing white? But
I have to believe that the octave is a big thing for everyone at our parish because again, of all the Divine Mercy people, like I had one friend before this happened that we had to explain that I'm pretty sure most people in the parish know about Divine Mercy. It's not a lack of knowledge that is stopping people.
No,
and if they don't, they'll be asked about it. Do you know about Divine Mercy?
Yeah.
And if they don't know about the Divine Mercy Novena and such, they really have nobody to blame but themselves.
And yet there will still be many people to help them.
So anyways.
But this Easter is an extraordinary one because even more than normal, it's hard to keep ourselves in the Easter spirit.
That's right.
So we just thought we'd talk a little bit about things we're doing to stay engaged in this time of social disengagement.
Yes. So on that note, Mike, we were having a discussion beforehand, but since nobody out there got to hear it, some of the things you're doing to maintain the active practice of your faith life, given that you can't go to Mass, can't go to adoration, can't do any of the other churchy stuff you really enjoy doing.
So this has been a tremendous change for me because I'm a daily Mass goer. I normally work from home, so that's not a big change for me, but I organize my day to make sure that I can always go to daily Mass, which now isn't an option. So making the transition to online Mass and spiritual communion, well, that's a thing. I've likened it to a starvation diet. Spiritual communion is good, but it's not really a substitute for the bread of life. So one thing I've done to try to keep the Sabbath special, to keep the Lord's Day different than every other day, because an oft-observed phenomenon is that in this time of lockdown, it's kind of like when you're a kid and you're on vacation, you don't really have a sense of the days.
Yeah.
They all just kind of seem alike. You don't have work to get to. You don't have as many meetings as you used to. Wait, what day is it? So to try to keep Sunday special, what I do is I'll watch Mass in the morning. I may still be wearing my pajamas. I may already be dressed up by that point. And then I will get fully dressed up like I normally would to go to Mass on Sunday, wearing a tie and a jacket. We've had some unseasonably cold weather here in Michigan, so some days I've had to wear my winter jacket over my suit coat. And then I drive to our church, which, yes, I'm violating quarantine, come arrest me. And I sit in the parking lot by myself, and I spend at least an hour there. I read the Sunday readings from my lector's workbook. I read the reflection. I listen to Bishop Barron's sermon, and I try to listen to what the Lord is trying to say to me in that moment.
I have to say, given the rules of the shelter in place, I don't think being in a parking lot all by yourself, it probably falls on the lines of going to a non-busy park.
Well, except I bring a chair, so I'm very much not exercising.
I have to ask because I learned, oddly, from a priest who lives multiple states over, that Father Joe got a bullhorn for his birthday. So is he going around Grand Blanc just like yelling prayers into the neighborhoods?
Well, one thing I know is that the two of the priests at a nearby parish, Holy Family, which is often confused with our own Holy Redeemer. So their two priests are Father Joe, who's the famous Father Joe Krupp, who has quite a presence on the social medias, and Father Peter. So they are every Sunday having at least one, maybe two Eucharistic processions around the city of Grand Blanc, where they just carry the Eucharist through various neighborhoods to ask the Lord to intercede and help us get through this time of trial, and also to strengthen people who are cut off from the sacramental life of the church. Now, so far, looking at the maps, they haven't come anywhere near where I live, which is on the pretty northern side of Grand Blanc. They've been focusing more on the southern side, closer to Holy Family. But, if this goes on for months, I'm sure they'll eventually make it.
Yeah. Well, what I've been doing, at first I was trying to participate in the Mass in the exact way that I would were I there. I did all the standing, all the sitting, all the kneeling.
Mm-hmm.
And but I reached a point where I'm like, this just doesn't, it just didn't have those same feels.
And I would like to add, usually you actually don't do all the standing and sitting and kneeling because you're working. So we usually we stand for the gospel, but all the up and downs in the earlier time.
Sometimes I kneel while I'm in the media room.
But Jess has a very good point. Under normal conditions, you guys aren't participating normally.
Right. But and that had like a couple weeks where it just, I don't know, the churchiness of it, watching it on live stream, really just the bottom fell out. It was not at all churchy. I still did it because I felt like I needed to, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it. But since Easter, I have actually gone, and since Easter Sunday, I have actually gone and started making a habit of trying to watch as many live streamed masses as I actually can. So I've found a number of churches that do a live stream either on YouTube or on Twitch. And when I get notifications that they're having something, if I'm able to, I will then go and tune in to that. So, for example, last Sunday, I watched the Mass. I watched some of the Mass by Father, after having been at our Mass on Saturday evening to help with some of the camera work. I then went and watched some of Father Mike Schmitz's Mass, and then switched to another church, which is a church that we visit when we are out of town, because they had actually just recently started.
Is it Holy Redeemer the Lesser?
No. It was not Holy Redeemer the Lesser. It is St. Philip Neri from just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So there's apparently two St. Philip Neris in the general Philadelphia area, so you got to kind of be specific with it. But
I can see areas where there are a large number of Italian Americans having a number of parishes named after Philip Neri. Yeah.
So I do that, and I try to keep that ever present sort of a thing. Today
Mm-hmm.
I had one that I thought I'd get a chance to tune into, and I won't name the church, but they are apparently the Domino's Pizza of daily masses. They're going to get it done in 30 minutes or less.
Well, it's a daily Mass. It's a daily Mass without any people. How long can it last?
Father Steve managed to make his, well, all right, I suppose I haven't watched one of his ones without any people. But when he had people, it still ran at least about 45 minutes.
Yeah, the daily masses are 35 to 45, but we do put some music in. And for the Easter Vigil, we managed to be like 10 minutes longer than the Pope's Easter Vigil.
But I got the notification.
That was the goal, to beat the Pope.
I noticed the notification about 20 minutes after Mass would have started. And so I tuned in at like 28 minutes after the hour, and they were literally doing the St. Michael's prayer during the procession, and that was it. It was done. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was there just in time for St. Michael, and on with my day.
All right. So what about you, Jess?
Well, as I am the media director or some other title, as they constantly change it, because I've actually been an essential worker for doing different mass things for weekend masses. So most Saturdays I've worked the weekend mass.
Mm-hmm.
But I've really been enjoying the fact that about a month or two before the quarantine started, our music worship leader went and said, we're going to do a short little thing on Wednesdays at noon for, you could tune in on your lunch break. And now he's doing it every weekday and like for a half an hour. So if I'm up at noon, I will go and watch that. And if not, I watch it later. I loved yesterday one because he was singing a song that required sing a little bit louder, and his like oldest boy, who's maybe like 8,
Mm-hmm.
following directions. So he's just yelling hallelujah, in the background.
I have experience with him in a children's liturgy of the word, and yes, when he wants to be, he's very loud.
Yeah.
And exuberant.
Very exuberant. Excellent. So, while a number of people have commented that we all have more time for prayer now, and that's largely true, I have always noticed that the more I'm doing, the more I can get done. And the less I'm doing, the less I'm able to do. And so, while I've had more time to pray, the indisputable fact is that I'm praying less. I'm praying fewer rosaries than I did before the quarantine began.
Yeah.
There's a lack of motivation, and so a lot of things just aren't getting done.
That's fair.
Yeah. Also, there's the scheduling issue. Like most days, I get up, I look at my app to say what I need to do for the day. Most days, my app currently says I need to do those things I have every day, and feed the pets, make sure the children are alive because they're old enough they can feed themselves.
Yes. It went for her. It went from getting 18 hours worth of work done in the next 12 to. So go down below, hit the like button and the subscribe and the bell next to it so you get notified when we have new stuff coming out, which, as we've been saying, is in all likelihood going to be tomorrow.
Comment below with how you've been dealing with the quarantine, with the cabin fever.
Remember, until next time, to live your faith,
Love your faith.
Share that love.